Peace, loves, true 5-star your life driver, your new elder, your wise counselor, checking in with you as I check myself, checking on you as I get checked by the Spirit. I'm recording while driving, which is something I don't usually do, but I wanted to catch this feeling. Coming from the gym, the sun is just coming up. I feel absolutely wonderful. Spirit gave me a word though. Accept apologies, even if they don't come from the offender. That word has been whispered to me. It finally came to me as clear as day. You may never get the apology that you deserve from the person who offended you, hurt you, assaulted you, degraded you, betrayed you. However, when you hear apologies for offenses that you've experienced coming from other people, it's okay to accept that as your apology. Several men have apologized in my presence. I'm talking about wholeheartedly regretting the moves they have made in this lifetime. I drive Uber, and that's not the only thing I do, but I drive Uber. And I hear a lot of stories. And I get a lot of opportunity to minister, if you will, and get ministered to, whether people realize it or not, because the apologies that men have given me recently, wishing they had not done what they have done. Several elderly men have told me how they destroyed their marriage by wanting to have their cake and eat it too. That they had a good wife or a good woman. A couple of them were not married, but they had long-term relationships with a dedicated woman by their side who loved them, and they know that, but they wanted their cake and eat it too. These were their words also. So they had a work wife or a side piece. Or one man had been with this woman for years, his side piece, and his wife didn't know. But when she found out, she could not forgive him. And he said he apologized profusely. Like he sat there and told me, like, I really did everything I could because I realized what I had done and how I had hurt my wife and that I wanted my marriage. And I'm like, whoa. Kwame Kilpatrick recently, Dr. Boyce Watkins interviewed him, and he mentioned how he knew he destroyed his marriage and he regretted it. He regretted his actions. He didn't understand himself. Like, you know, he did say, though, that he realized he was immature and just taking the relationship for granted, which is what so many men do. So this time we're in, which is a very serious time, that's why it's important to stay balanced. Stay as light as you can. Keep your heart as light as a feather. If you are offended now, let it roll off. You know, if you offend somebody, apologize and keep it moving. If they decide to stay offended, let them deal with that. You deal with your heart and keeping it as light as a feather, and accept apologies, even if they don't come from the person who offended you or the people who offended you. There are certain apologies I know I'll never get. Mama might not never apologize. Papa might not never apologize. That sister or brother who betrayed you may never apologize. However, when you hear the apologies being whispered to you, spoken to you from other people, accept it as yours too. Like, you know what, Lord? I accept that apology for my own heart. I'm going to release some of these feels, some of these offended feels. I'm going to release some of these offended feels right here and right now in this apology from this other person. And then leave it there. And then leave it there. Right there where it's at. And see how wonderful you begin to feel and how much lighter your load is. Because when we carry offense around, when we're offended by someone, and it happens, especially those closest to us that we've allowed to become, a part of our tapestry, take up some of that mind space. We love them. I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about it could be your daggone child. It could be your sister, whatever the case, your mama, whoever is closest to you that can have some effect on you and has hurt you deep to your core. Begin to allow that space. Begin to allow that to be filled with love and respect and forgiveness. Allow it to be filled with forgiveness and love and peace and joy. And even if you never speak to that person or those people who offended you again, because sometimes we have to accept that this person is just offensive. This person deep down does not like me, hates themselves so much that they cannot love me. They just cannot. And we have to accept that and keep it moving and guard our minds and hearts by not continuing to interact. But we can still forgive and love and respect and move on with love and grace and honor and respect. No hate. Heart as light as a feather. Let your heart be as light as a feather is what our ancestors left for us. That's a message our ancestors left for us. Let your heart be as light as a feather. That's deep when you think about how heavy your heart can get sometimes. So digging your heart up from under that weight so that it can be light takes some work. It takes some forgiveness. It takes some love. It takes some acceptance of apologies, even if it's not from who offended you. Peace, loves.